You guys don't need to sit next to each other if you want.
You want to sit over there? No, just kidding.
Nice. Oh. Okay, so usually how this goes is I have a bunch of things that are on my mind, but if you want to ask a question, raise your hand, and I'll see if I get to you. Not that quick, sir. The first thing that I would like to ask is, but first of all, do you call yourself small, or do we force you into that?
Yeah,
because you do huge work. We forced you, eh?
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
Okay, and what about you? Kira, same thing?
No,
do you refer to yourself as small?
We're super small.
Okay, you wear the mantle proudly.
Yeah.
Nicole?
Depends on who's asking. Sometimes we're really huge, you know.
Okay, yeah.
Sometimes not.
So is there pride in that or no? In other words, like you get to be big or small depending who's calling. I guess it doesn't really matter.
You know what? It's actually cool to be small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing for you, Keira?
Yeah, I mean, I think size is the relativity of size has sort of died down with the ease of tools and communication and everything else. I mean, look, when I was working for Tibor, I was making mechanicals with a T-square. I mean, and the waxer. So things took days to get to clients. So it's just you can do so much more now. You don't really need a big infrastructure. I don't feel like you can then be. You can do fewer projects. You can do the projects you want. Do you guys feel the same way? Does it matter?
When we were interviewed by our friend Michel, Anouk answered something about, he was saying that actually it doesn't matter if you're big or small, it's more what project you're working on, and I think he's right. I think we're a small studio, and there's something that I like about it, but at the same time, yes, it is possible to work on big projects.
It's the work. Does that mean that it doesn't make a difference whether you grow? Do you want to stay small? Nicole, what do you think?
I don't know. When I look at Nike, we won we won every pitch against big agencies. And we were like, when I started, I was working with interns. So it was me, Noreen, and an intern. You win against like all these big agencies. So I don't think size really matters. It matters when it comes to it matters in a way that, I'm really literally living off my credit cards. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens when you start a company. Your money goes into these people that you hire. And you have to be okay with that for a while. So there's a downside to this, but you are probably way more flexible than a big company.
But it can also matters at some point in the project, like if you really need like manpower. Like when we were working on Air Inuit, and Leon left, we were really freaking out because like Leon was doing so much things, and at some point we knew we had like a list of like 80 or 100 items that we had to produce, and so it does matter at some point, but still we don't need to be like 20 to do it. Like being a team of 5 good designers was enough.
Well, that's what I thought when I actually saw Day for Night. I was like, that is a gigantic endeavor.
And of course we scaled up for it, but we hired people who did the things we don't do, and we brought on team members to complement our skills, not reproduce them or duplicate them. And
just for a temporary basis to be like, okay, we need to get this up and running. Is that the same thing for you, Nicole? You're like,
I mean, you team up with, you start building a network with people. That's what we're doing right now around the world, where we team up for certain things, and you team up with people that are actually specialized in certain things.
Mm-hmm. And I think you said that, Raphaël, too, like this idea of, you can be a small studio but have a big network, and that kind of changes the game.
That gives you a lot. We tried to put so much good photo of good people in our presentation. That's why. That was the intent, to say that we're a team of 5 people, and I think it's pretty obvious that in a bigger project you need some other people to work with you. So, but the thing I found funny about all this the conference tonight, it says small, but it doesn't. Small. I mean, maybe it's because in French, but it sounds to me it's not the same thing as saying a small size studio. I mean, because it's meaning that, and I think it's a play around that also, because small sounds like it doesn't have much impact, that it doesn't have,
Well, that's funny because that's one of the things that we talk about, right? When we put this together, we were like,
yeah.
small and big can
So,
be.
so I can deny we are a small team of people working, but when you say it, are you a small studio? I will say no, you know?
Right.
Because
Big time.
it's a bit like, it depends who's asking, it's depend on the context, but... Yeah.
And is that something that when you're actually looking for work, you think about, like, when you think about terms like small and big, you know, what's big to you guys? Are you looking for impact? Are you looking for profitability out of it? Are you looking for networking opportunities? Or does it change depending on, you know, who you're pitching to or what the situation is?
For us, it's, you know, the motivation to stay small. I mean, who knows? We just started, and we're trying as much as we can to keep it to the two of us. For us, it's being able to work with clients who want to work very closely with us. Not like, you know, the call goes in, it goes through the pipeline, it goes down to some people. It's just, hey, you're calling us, we're talking to you, we're meeting with you. And you know, of course, a lot of the times it means we have to turn down work because we're instantly busy.
Right.
I mean, once we have a few projects in-house, we can't say yes to more. Because we just, you know, I'm here, I'm not at work right now.
Right.
You know, it's quite literal.
And is that...
But it's the quality of the relationship that you have with your clients. Like, when I remember once Anouk and I had a meeting, and clients told us, people we were working with told us that they really liked the relationship that we had together. And they liked it because there was no like 2 or 3 people in between us. Like we were working together for real. Mm-hmm. And this is the same thing for you guys. And this is I guess what a lot of people like with working with a small studio, because they're working direct. Like we're a team of 5 people, so when we work with people, at some point they're going to work with either Anouk and I, but then when we're going to be further in the project, they're going to work with the designer who's working directly on their project. So like there's no people in between, and this is what some people like. Maybe not everyone, but at least the people we're working with.
It's like a car, right? Noreen made that analogy today. Agencies, big agencies, are these big trucks or buses, and we're
SUV,
like,
maybe.
no, right, and we're like in like a little sports car, super fast, right? Like the big truck or bus. Yeah, sure, you can take a lot of people with you, right? But like, park that shit, you know? Right? That's one thing, and it costs you a shitload of gas. Okay.
Nice.
So
I feel like there's a sales pitch right there.
Yeah.
But are you also destined and trying to stay small?
I'm not sure yet. Like,
Okay.
I think you're growing big by having all these networks and connections and like, you know, big in that sense. I don't think in terms of studio size. I don't like that because every person you add on to a small studio is absolutely changing the climate in there.
Right.
You know, it's changing immediately, and that can sometimes be good, and sometimes, as I learned it the hard way, it can be really bad. You know, one person can change everything. And for me, it's very important that I love what I'm doing. I'm going to work and I like it. I don't want to be like, what the fuck? Especially since it's in my house. Like, if you have to walk over into that room and you're like, oh, I don't really want to go there. I don't know, like, I don't like this person or whatever. Like, this doesn't work, you know? You need to like who you're with.
But that's interesting, because I know that I'm inefficient in the size of team that we are. I'm not sure I would be efficient in, like, a 20 people team.
Because you're, like, managing things, and you're, like, it's your creative direction. How do you manage your vision through, like, a million people?
Still, there's this guy I know who owns an agency, and, like, this guy really thinks that he's performing, he's at its best when he has like 20 to 25 people working for him. And this is totally not the case for me.
It's funny, I was talking to you before, and I was asking you, like, do you become more of a manager as you add people, right? And less of a designer in your case.
That's a sad question.
You know,
it's not only that, you have overhead. That means you have to take on projects that you don't want to take on, but they pay a lot, so you can pay your people. So what's the point?
Right.
You know?
That was our main motivation. Watching, I mean, there's medium to large size studios. Guess what work you're not seeing on their website?
Right.
Lots and lots and lots of work that pays the bills. Maybe some kind of maybe not even politically kind work paying the bills.
Yeah, but that's interesting. That's an interesting piece of motivation, is to stay connected to the work, but also only take the work that you want, right? I mean, is that, you guys are 5 people, and you're 2, and you're
6.
6. Okay, so
You're
yeah.
a big studio.
Why are you up here?
If I
biggest
count in the
studio.
dogs, we're 10. If I count in the cat as well, we're 11.
Yeah. We should definitely count the cat. But it's interesting, that kind of motivation. I mean, that'll keep you small until, you know, as studios sometimes find out, well, a lot of people are knocking on the door. There's a lot of good work there. How do you meet that challenge when it's presented to you? Can you always stay true to that ideal of, you know, I want to only do the work that I really, really care about?
I mean, I think you try as hard as you can to do that. I mean,
Doesn't always work, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Like if you have to, like in my case, if you have to pay for your people, for your staff, it doesn't always work. But we are of course trying to minimize that as good as we can. So it's not like 20% good stuff and 80% shit. It's
Right.
like the other way around. It's like 80% good stuff and 20% shit.
Right.
You know?
Does experience help in bigger agencies, or does it not make a difference, starting your own thing?
It's good to have that experience. Like
Yeah.
I've been to a big agency, like interning, so you see how things work, and I've worked in a couple places. So you do learn how things work, and you realize, you know, I like this, I do not like this. I don't want to treat my people like that, and I don't want to do that. So you learn all the things that you don't want, so you can make them actually better.
And Raphaël and Anouk,
Well-
does it matter to you guys or no?
Well, actually, we learned through a small agency,
Right.
through a small studio, which, like, Anouk and I used to work in the same studio where we were the only 2 employees, and then we left, both at the same time. So
How is that? How are they doing?
and then we were squatting like this guy's studio like at night, and we would come back at the studio like at 9 a.m. After just getting out at 3 a.m.
Yeah,
and the owner was living downstairs, so like it was really generous of him, and we really had to plan our way out.
No, but I say something about that, because the thing is, François of Epson, this place, he never ever had a boss in his life, you know? He started a studio that maybe some older people in the audience may know as Lumbago. It was a really great graphic design studio in the 80s. They were for the dance and contemporary dance and everything.
Like, they were published in Idea magazine in Japan. It's probably like the only studio from Montreal who ever got published in Idea.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's a bit the way also he want to work, you know, and keep it in a small size, and we have this kind of same idea, and he knows that at some point we will go, and we don't go like the next day, you know. We give him, I don't remember, maybe
No, we had to plan
almost
it.
a year, you know, that
Okay,
previously you have another employee. It was really smooth, like.
But did that help in your transition? Like, did that help you, you know, build what you needed to know to be able to
Well, the
create your own studio?
transition was important because this is what allowed. We were working for François, and then we were able to, like, we got more and more contracts, and so we were working for him, but at the same time we were working on our projects, and then we really had to figure out something because he was living downstairs, so he knew when we were coming out of his place at 3 a.m. and then we're back at 9 a.m. and we were like
Not always at 9.
not always at our best. So like he knew it. He knew we were getting more and more busy. So we just had. But the good thing was that when we left François' place, we already had plenty of clients we were working with, and that was we're the worst to start a business. It took us like 7 years to really start our own
That's what I
studio.
want to say. We're not
But-
just small. We're also really slow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's another talk, but that's a good one.
Yeah, I think it's been like maybe just 3 years now that we really have a thinking about making business, you know.
But
And I think it's still
there's
an
something
important part.
interesting about it because you were saying like don't wait for clients to call you or something.
Right.
Like because of the way it started, like we already had like this
That's good. You had
bunch
your
of clients we were
relationships.
working with,
Right.
and so we just started the studio without calling anyone. The phone was ringing
Which
all
is
the
great.
time, which is totally different.
This is because I went to LA. I didn't know anybody. You know,
right.
Yeah.
I had
Very
no friends.
different.
I mean, seriously, if you go and you're like, oh, I want to do a studio in Tokyo, not a good idea sometimes.
Right. But that's a good next like to me that makes me wonder, well, how do you, if you're going to be a small studio and you have this kind of like, you know, ingrained in the culture that you want to build, how do you go out and find the big brands? Is it you create your own festival? Because that seems to me a really a very complicated way to do it, but holy moly.
Messages.
But how does that work?
Well, I mean, it kind of goes back to the starting slow. My version of starting slow was waiting 25 years to start my own studio. So
Okay.
I had plenty of relationships.
Oh my God, that's a conference. Very slow. 7 years, 25. Call me in 30.
So I guess the version of it is I had lots of contacts. I knew lots of people from prior work.
And that gave you the confidence to be able to say, you know what, I want to do the work that I care about.
Well, and it was kind of funny. It was like, oh, yeah, I know you. I know you. Oh, I guess I've been around a while. It's that age where you suddenly can call on people. It's not a big, mysterious world anymore.
Okay, and then how does the other side of that work where you're like, you know what, I'm going to move to LA and open up my own thing and I don't know anyone?
Not so good in the beginning.
Okay.
You know? It's tough, especially when you think, oh, I don't want to show the work that I've produced before with other studios because I'm having my own studio and it wouldn't be fair to them and it wouldn't be fair to my office. But that sucks because then you have nothing to show, you know, to get clients. So it took a while to build that up.
Is it just
but then it's really calling and like harassing certain people and trying not to call the clients that I had with my previous companies to really do my own thing and it starts to work out. It's really slow. But you know, it does work. The only client that did call us was Nike. And the reason why they called us, they're like, the website that we had before was a holding page. It was flashing. And they're like, oh, we thought you guys are an asset. So we think you might be a good studio to work with us. And I'm like, okay. But other than that, we really went after each one of them.
Okay.
Like we figured out who do we like, what type of work do we want to do, and then you try to find those people and go after them. And I call them every day till we get a project.
That's awesome. Wise words.
I feel like starting slowly has the advantage of, like, it allows you to be true to who you are, and in the end, well, either you might take the phone and call some clients, or they're calling you. Then when you work with people, you work with them because they know what to expect from you, and this is why you're working together.
Cool. Sorry to make you wait.
Now he doesn't want to talk anymore.
My question is for Raphaël and Anouk. Challenge for a small studio is to charge enough money in the beginning, and then to do your finances make you leave. So I want to know, how do you manage your costs and the time you invest?
But it's funny, this coincides well with you saying this. We just learned how to like run a real business. But the question was, how do you manage your costs? Managing a small studio is hard. How do you?
Versus the time you spend.
Well,
know what's the right one and how you get well paid.
Yeah, I think it's really recently that we just began to track the hour at the studio. So you have to understand the situation. So we now have really more conscious about it, and we try really to consolidate the team. But as I say, we are designer trying to make design, you know. So that's how we decide to have a studio. If we think about that we want to make money, I choose something else. you know, to do in life, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we're able to live with it. Like, I think that what we're trying to say is that we would never let a project go off the studio if we're not happy with it. And then, I mean, you're talking about your credit cards.
Yeah,
And
I'm maxed
about
out on
like-
all of them.
Maybe we're not living on the credit cards, but
No more, but
on our
it's
credit
that
cards.
a
But
long time
it's
ago.
been the case for a while, and then yeah, we just do not accept that a poor project is going to go out of the studio.
So you put
No
the
matter if we lost some money or
Right.
like,
But
but
also,
still, at some point, it's a part of the work that we learn. Like we've been managing a business without realizing it for years, and we were able to pay everyone. Maybe we were not making like a huge amounts of money, but we were able to manage the business and pay everyone. So maybe now we're a little bit we're trying to be a little more tight on the finances and everything, but as long as we're able to make a living out of it and have fun and yeah,
well,
that
it's like we take a challenge also. If I just because most of people they talk about having project to have fun and having project to make money. And what's happened if you try to do both? And I think that's what we try to do with that.
Living the dream.
So yeah, it's a bit like not completely the one or the other. You know?
Are you guys as nonchalant about finances as these guys or no?
No, because I'm old.
But your festival will make money. This is an incredible thing. I think this
It
is the
really
future
is.
of design.
Pardon me?
How did you finance your festival?
That's a dirty little secret. No, it's we begged, borrowed, and stealed for the most part. You
Nice
know,
work.
a lot of it is
It's
a lot
big
of it
credit
is
card.
in good faith for future. We try also. It was probably not obvious from the work I showed, but we tried to keep the sponsorship at a minimum, because that's also a sort of a joy kill of festivals. Is
Wow.
the constant sponsorship. Now, of course, we did have some, and hopefully, as we do this year in and year out, we can make the sponsor involvement more value added, so that they're actually part of it in a meaningful way, rather than logos slapped on everything.
But it's funny. It's kind of the same challenge as finding like a big client like Adobe. You're trying to attract big acts, right? To be able to draw people there. Like, how did you, Kendrick Lamar and Janelle Monáe and all
Well,
these-
again, that's our music bookers,
Amazing.
good track record and good faith. So, we quite frankly, we just made the list of people we wanted. Sometimes it was a Sophie's choice between acts. I mean, we had to sort of, we had one act drop out because she was pursuing her acting career.
You can name her.
FKA Twigs.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
cool.
Sorry.
Cool. We broke some news. Oh, go ahead.
But I mean, that's fair. I mean, she's allowed to drop
Oh, of
out
course,
to
of
pursue
course.
her acting career. I mean,
And you
I
had
can
an incredible
drop out
lineup.
to pursue my acting career. No, but to answer your question, I mean, what we try to do. I probably devote far too much time to this, but we try to define the parameters of a project as best we can without knowing where it's going to go. So, so we present. Is this what you want? Is this what you need? They don't know, and you're sort of figuring it out for them. But at least then you can have things to point to. We're going to do this and this. Anything more? Let's renegotiate. So we just try to keep it, well defined.
Cool. Did you want to say something there,
Well,
Raphaël?
another thing is that a big client doesn't necessarily means big money. Like,
Sure.
If you're not used to work with these kind of client or this kind of projects, and then you have no idea how much time you're gonna spend on it, then you might lose a lot of money with a big client, depending on how you deal with your contracts. Right. So, big clients doesn't mean necessarily big money.
Good reminder.
That's something I wanted to say.
But that's where you start doing time management. We lost money on our first Nike job, big fucking time, because I was like, you put so much time into this, and then you don't realize that you actually lose money. And then, but with a second job, you remember and you're making it better, and it goes better and better and better and better. Big clients come to small studios, of course, because they want to save costs, but at the same time, they want to have something that is flexible. And if you're solid enough, they're willing to pay for that, you know?
Very cool. Did I see another hand up there or no?
You did, but he kind of wants.
Oh, okay. He took your... Okay, go ahead. Oh, okay. You wanted specific numbers.
Yeah, how much did you spend? How much did it cost?
We spent a lot of money.
That's not an answer.
I know, but
Come on.
There's a
Tell
bar
us.
after. You can inquire over there.
yeah, get me drunk.
Did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just wondering, so how small is big enough in the sense of like, what are the visions? Like, what are you guys thinking, like, future? I'm just curious.
Where is this going? It sounds like there's kind of a mix of like we really want to keep it us two, and who knows? We could be
10 is probably the max, really.
10 is the max.
I think. I don't know, but it depends on what you want to do and what type of projects you want to take on, and what do you want to have right next to you or in your space. Like sometimes it's easier to work with people that are actually there rather than physically not being there, and sometimes it depends.
It's a real answer, but how many really close, good friends can you have, that really people close to you? So I don't believe it's 100, of course. And maybe 10 or 15 or 20, it's depend on what you do, but really we're not in this. I think 5 is work really great.
Okay.
Depending on what people can bring to the studio, it could be more.
Well, I'm pretty sure I can't manage more than 10 people, that's for sure.
Okay, so it's the limits of your management.
And actually, you know what? 5, I kind of like it. So
Yeah. And Keira, two people?
Well,
Who knows?
for the core, yeah. I mean, we're already starting to break that rule a little bit this year. But the festival was.
How much did you spend on that?
Our team, all told, was probably a dozen people in the festival.
Okay, cool.
Not doing the branding. I mean, it's the two of us doing the branding, but running the entire festival. I mean, that's a pretty slim crew for. I mean,
that sounds tiny for what we saw. That's crazy. Anything else? No, it's kind of dark, so it's hard to see. Okay. Last thing before we go, then, you talked about where you're going to go with that. Is there anything that you guys are working on now? Anything that's like in the near future that's kind of got you excited, or not going to reveal? NDA?
I mean, everything we have is NDA. Every client demands NDA now.
Okay. Next year in Houston? Is that going on again?
It will go on again in Houston. It might also travel.
Oh, cool. Breaking some onions.
Montreal.
So we're going to get VIP passes here, yeah?
Awesome. Cool. Thanks so much for being part of this. Thanks so much for coming, guys. Another packed house. Merci beaucoup. Encore.
Thank you.
Je vais donc